Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your daily dose of zombies news from the game and its community here on COD Zombies HQ. Thank you so much for tuning in today, where we've got a lot to talk about. But before we do, to speak to you personally for a second, for the first time ever, a company has wanted to sponsor an episode of the Zombies News Update. I've been offered this many times in the past. I've turned all of them down until this one, because it's one that I'm personally interested in, and I think you will be too. So for the first time ever, this episode of the Zombies News Update is sponsored by Opera GX, the world's first web browser built ground up for gamers, which is useful now more than ever with all zombies matches being played on dedicated servers. Other web browsers can take up unneeded network bandwidth that could result in some serious lag in your solo zombies games, but Opera GX doesn't have that problem and offers the GX control panel, which lets you limit your browser's network, CPU, and RAM usage so you can maximize your computer's resources focused on running the game. With built-in Twitch integration, you can easily find your favorite streamers and watch Lex suffer through 1,000 rounds of Shino Numa while you're suffering through rounds of Vanguard Zombies. Opera GX even has full support of all Chrome extensions, meaning you can download your favorites. My favorite is Images, which is an easy one-click install on GX, lets you browse the Reddit without clicking on any links, and you can do it while looking so good. The customization options are endless. I personally have settled on the dark theme with the white accents. It also comes with GX Corner, which lets you browse new game releases and game deals at a glance, and switching to GX is super easy, where you can import your bookmarks and settings from your old browser into GX instantly with one click. Opera GX is now available to download for free via the link in the description on your computer and on mobile devices, so be sure to give it a try today. Thanks again for Opera GX for sponsoring this episode. It's the first one that I've actually been genuinely interested in, and I hope you will be too, linked down in the description and in the pinned comment. So without further ado, let's kick things right off with our first story of the day. Sledgehammer and Treyarch has released a series of new in-game updates for the Vanguard Zombies mode that continues to try to fix some major issues players are having within the mode, some of which are definitely more glaring than others. Where firstly, in an issue that is more annoying than anything, Treyarch says that they've addressed an issue where players could not view the scoreboard after dying or after exfil. So if you wanted to check how many zombies you've taken down or crit kills or something like that, or checking your progress on camos, you couldn't actually do that before. If you just totally went down and out, no revival, you're bleeding out. Now that has since been changed. Treyarch also says in another issue with the UI of the game, they've addressed an issue where players could not view armor health in the HUD. With how vital armor is in this game, where pretty much after round 15, even with totally upgraded Jug, you are a 2-hit down without armor, which is insane. Whether you have or don't have armor basically dictates your playstyle in Vanguard Zombies. If you have armor, you can play a little bit more aggressively, and without armor, after round 15, you're basically running around like a chicken with their heads cut off, just hoping zombies won't 2-tap you. Next, Treyarch also says that they've addressed an issue where objectives would not start properly, preventing progression. So basically, if you encountered this issue where one of your objectives just straight up wouldn't start, your game would be straight up over. Treyarch has since fixed that in a big progression issue for everybody trying to go for camos, or if you're just trying to use this for the very first time in the zombies mode. Treyarch says that they've addressed an issue that could reset progress for the NZ41 camo challenges. So if you used it in zombies beforehand, there was a chance that it could actually reset your progress for camo challenges. Absolutely brutal if you weren't aware of this beforehand, but Treyarch says they have fixed this as part of their latest update. In an issue having to do with the pack-a-punch in the game, Treyarch also says that they've addressed an issue where players could lose their pack-a-punch weapon mid-round. I don't exactly know what in the game would cause that. That is absolutely wild, so F's in the chat for everybody before that just randomly lost their pap weapon mid-round. Hopefully that's an issue that's far and done now. I have seen in the past of things that Treyarch has said they have patched in prior updates still occur to some players. Hopefully this isn't one of them. Treyarch also says that they've closed an exploit in Stalingrad, that's the hub area where zombies could not reach the players. So basically a spot that was unreachable for the zombies, where you could just camp to your heart's content, has been patched. Treyarch also says in an issue that I've also seen players reporting, and it has to do with your initial loadouts, where they say that they've addressed an issue where the player was not prompted to select like the loadout at the start of the match, you just spawn in with a random default loadout, and secondly, they say that they've addressed an issue where the player could spawn into the match without a weapon. Also, I've heard a bunch of Zombies players reporting that has since been solved. So a slew of fixes and changes, but in terms of the absolute biggest things that people are still asking for, a buff for damage values for automatic weapons in Zombies mode, a PAP camo, and server pause, amongst a bunch of other things, have still not been added into the Vanguard Zombies mode, with no official communication from Treyarch yet about the state of the mode as it currently stands. Now moving on to our next story, if you're wondering what the state of the Vanguard Zombies mode is like, especially if you haven't played it before, and want to see what all the fuss is about in the Zombies mode, it seems like Vanguard will be having a very, very early multiplayer free access weekend, which includes Zombies and multiplayer from November the 18th to November the 22nd. If you're someone that just wants to see what they did with the Zombies mode, or make one of your Zombies veteran friends download it just to go see how they massacred my boy, then this is probably the cheapest and easiest time for you to do that. The reason why they're doing this so early is probably because the initial sales for Vanguard are way down, around 40% compared to Black Ops Cold War in the UK. You've got to imagine that the absolutely lackluster Zombies mode is at least a part of that, as well as players discovering that Fang isn't a round-based map that they would expect in a Treyarch-produced Zombies title, with Activision putting their hand on the big red button going, make it free for a weekend, to try to get more players into the game. And speaking of Activision's hand on the big red button, moving on to our next story, if you guys remember several months ago, Activision Blizzard, the publisher behind all of the Call of Duty games, was embroiled in a lawsuit with the United States government over several incidents and treatment of their female employees. At that time, Treyarch, the Zombies mode developer, wasn't really mentioned in that suit. Well, that changed yesterday with the new Wall Street Journal article that did shine some light on the treatment of female employees, specifically in one instance at Treyarch. It has resulted in one of the co-studio heads at Treyarch, Dan Bunting, leaving the studio, as well as a bunch of Zombies developers showing support and letting them know their opinions on the situation at their own company over on Twitter. Kevin Drew saying this is awful, and even worse to find out about it like this on Twitter. The community manager at Treyarch, Foxhound FPS, saying that they should light the fires of accountability. With how vocal developers at all of Call of Duty's studios, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch are being about this new round of allegations over at Activision and their studios, this seems to be the time that serious changes over at Activision Blizzard should occur, and they just haven't yet. With the CEO of Activision Blizzard at the heart of this controversy, Bobby Kotick, still in his position as CEO of Activision Blizzard, despite calls from the shareholders and many of his own employees for him to step down. It's a very interesting and a very unfortunate story that hopefully in the long term will result in some serious positive changes at Treyarch and all of Call of Duty studios as a whole. But on that note, that does wrap up the news today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you did enjoy it, consider hitting that thumbs up button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for sticking through the very first ever sponsored segment on this channel. Opportunities like this wouldn't be possible without your guys' support. So seriously, thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you with another Zombies news update tomorrow. Peace.